And I realized that there's like three basic categories as to why it happens.
What you got?
Absent.
Oof. That's the biggest.
Apprehensive. Apathetic. Right. Absent, the father is not in a position. Sometimes the father doesn't know that the child exists because that happens.
True.
Sometimes the mother won't allow the father to see the child because that happens.
True again.
Even worse, maybe the father's, confined and can't get to the child, or the father's not on the face of this earth any longer, can't be a part of it. Right.
Right.
Absent.
Working. Gone.
Yeah.
There but not there.
There but not there.
Another topic.
Then more of mine is apprehensive. Like you're in the house, you have access, but for some reason, not really sure how to approach these things, when to approach it, what to say.
Right.
And that typically creates time before the conversation happens. Hopefully it happens at some time, but maybe you missed the mark because you were kind of double dutching your way into the conversation.
That's a good one.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out. And then just apathetic, man. There's fathers that don't care. So I can't take the women to task, on category one.
Right.
And not talk about fathers that just don't care. And I think that's deep rooted, maybe because of what they saw and nobody cared for them.
They tried to count me out. I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend.
Good money?
Good money.
Welcome to the Dear Son Show. We have conversations about life through the lens of fatherhood. It's for fathers, those with fathers, and the fatherless. I am one of your hosts, D. Johns.
I'm James. Like that?
I mean, we get to it every week. We refine it.
Change every week, though.
We refined it, man.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. I just said that, but I want you to really be welcome. Like, subscribe. That's how you let us know that you feel welcome. Like, subscribe, share at the end, leave some comments throughout. It really does help. I'll probably say it a couple of times throughout the episode, but how you feeling, man?
Feeling good, man. I'm relaxed. I'm calm. Right.
Woosah.
Yeah.
Beginning of the week, since we always date everything anyway.
We're on a good pace, though. We can do that more often.
Yeah.
We're on such a strong pace. We can almost go live now.
Speaking of which, live show coming. Live show is definitely in the works. Pay attention if you are in the DFW area, or you can get to the DFW area. There will be a live show. The first one that we had was closed, but it was pretty dynamic.
Yeah.
18 brothers in the room talking about identity. We probably mentioned that before. That content will probably be dropping soon, depending on when you're listening to this, or it may already be up. So just search the playlist for identity, and you'll see that series, man. I'm excited, man. The feedback is getting stronger, getting more consistent.
Yeah. Seems
like we're doing something right.
We gotta be.
Doing something right. Folks are thinking, man, and at the onset of this project, that's because that's how it started.
Yeah.
I wanted people to think.
Right.
I was challenging my thought, and I was sharing it on the platform, hoping that it would challenge others to think. And it's doing that.
It is.
Just on the the social media clips and things like that, people are engaging. And they're grateful.
They are. And like you said, a big thing is even people that's not big on being in the comments, they reaching out on the side.
Yeah.
With feedback.
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen, I like this. Or I really wish y'all would have, went a little deeper right here. I'm like, man, tell me. We need that.
Yeah.
Welcome it, please.
Absolutely. And comments can be intimidating because it's for everybody to see.
True.
And, we try to keep the platform positive. Haven't had too much trouble with knuckleheads.
Yeah.
There's been a couple, but I just get them out of there. I don't even really engage too much. But yeah, thank you for if this is your first time or your second or your 50 plus time listening, depending on
drop the number again.
Which number this is.
Right.
So that is the thing. Sometimes they don't come out in the order that we record.
Right.
Because it just depends on how the spirit is moving at a given point.
Knocking on that 60 though.
60 is this might, now that I'm thinking about it.
Side.
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, this could very well be that. So, 100, man.
100.
100 is a goal, man. It's like, I said it before, it was 6, then it was 50.
Yeah.
And now you kind of in that, it seems like you're in that void where you're too close to your previous goal and so far from your next goal, but we're gonna keep pushing, man.
Yeah. Let's set that goal. We could hit that this year.
Oh yeah.
And let's do a big we'll talk about
it. 100 will definitely be curated. We will know exactly which episode will be 100.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a live event.
Absolutely. I insist. I insist.
That's not a bad idea.
We could put that together.
Yeah.
Work around the topic, because the topic I don't want to say it's on the fly.
Yeah.
But we'll drop it right now and be like, hey, in 30 minutes, let's talk about this. Because it's a list.
The selection is on the fly.
Yeah.
The selection is on the fly. Yeah.
Yeah. The content, the bank, if you will, is heavy.
The bank is the reserve is plentiful.
Yeah.
So we got a whole bunch.
Remember to like, share, subscribe. I know we said that. We told you'll hear that a few times this episode, but really, really, really means a lot. Getting a big presence in throughout the continent of Africa, man. That's big.
Super
big. And excited about that. We are planning to venture into one of those countries, at least one.
Got to.
Spoiler alert. At least one, 2024.
Yeah, got to. Africa 2024 hashtag. Yeah. You'll see it. I'm excited about it. I got curious about Africa. I got interested in Africa through my former career. So we had a lot of work in sub-Saharan Africa. So I got familiar with several countries, got to visit for work purposes, but never really got to explore from a perspective of understanding my history.
Right.
So that's what I'm interested in doing. And I'm glad that I didn't get to do that yet, because I want to do that with my family.
Yeah, that's huge.
Really dope.
That's huge. I've never been, so for any reason, it's going to be amazing.
Feels different, man. But let's not keep the people.
Yeah.
Let's not keep the people waiting, man. This is this episode is one. The topic is very near and dear to me, and I'm sure several men. Just dealing with the stresses of the world, not even necessarily what happens inside the house, but those things that happen outside that sometimes follow you inside and impact.
Even when you don't want it to.
When you don't want it. Predominantly when you don't want it to.
Right.
Am I about to pop?
Am I about to pop?
Am I about to pop?
Yeah. As usual, I thought I had a lane that I wanted to go down with this, but as we're sitting here right now,
today,
I got another wrinkle for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Am I about to pop? Because most of our conversations are geared towards trying to set our sons and our children up for life.
Mm-hmm.
This is that as well. But the biggest part of setting your son, your daughter, your child up for life is your parenting style.
Making sure you are set up to deal with life.
Right.
Even if you haven't figured all of it out, which none of us have.
Mm-hmm.
Having those tools and having the awareness to know when something is getting off track.
Yeah.
And I can't say that I didn't know when things were getting off track. I knew when things were getting off track, but I didn't necessarily correct as quickly as I should, man. So am I about to pop? You could once a year, I would say once a year, the answer would be yes. If you caught me on any given day, am I about to pop, man? I just, like you said, we had some thoughts. So this one, I think we talked about it. I think I mentioned it Saturday.
You did.
A couple days ago.
Yeah.
And I tried not to get in my head and go down the path with it. But what I realized is that this is something that I deal with every day. So it wasn't necessarily trying to avoid the thought for the sake of this episode,
Right.
I'll really be on, really be on the watch sometimes. Like, I don't have it under control.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that it's obvious.
Right.
And I think that's part of the challenge.
Yeah.
Because it's,
Yeah.
it's not obvious. And when you don't have, I shouldn't say when you don't have a support system, because I have that, but when your support system is not aware because you're not allowing those indicators to show,
Right. Right.
it gets a little tough.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
gets a little tough.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I find myself resenting those around me, like, how you don't know? How you?
I didn't tell you, I didn't show you, but how dare you not know I got this going on inside?
We had 0 conversations about this.
You need to work on your mind reading
Yeah.
skills, woman.
But in my mind, I mean, anybody really. So let's walk it, man. Let's again, the orient as we always do. I'm a father of 5. Today, I'm giving you time to again insert Jeopardy music. Today, by the 19, 17, 15, 9, and 8. One wife.
Yeah, one wife. I'm a father of 6. I have 21, 18, 12, 16, skipped him. And then I have 7 and want to be 5 in a couple of weeks.
See, teamwork, bro. I don't be setting you up all the time.
Listen, yeah.
I always say, yo, trying to think, I want to start with my earliest recollection of when I got to that point as a father.
About being about to pop?
When I recognized that,
Yeah.
that I didn't have it under control.
Yeah.
the world was a little bit more than what I thought it was.
Yeah.
And I wasn't prepared.
Mm-hmm.
I would probably say 2007, 2008. So 2007, and I've mentioned this before, my wife, maybe not this part, but it's connected to what I've talked about before. My wife got out of the military. She was in the Air Force.
Yeah.
Joint decision. Had 2 kids. Number 3 was on the way. And she had the option to re-enlist or walk away. We decided it was time for her to walk away.
Right.
I thought it was time for me to walk away too. My job. So I jumped out there. I won't belabor it because I talked about it before. But the spiral that put us on,
Yeah.
not earning, not really having a reserve,
Right.
not having a plan,
Right.
just I'm an entrepreneur. I'm finna make some shape.
For to show the world.
And the dollar's gonna show up.
Yeah.
3x what my salary was.
Yeah.
That was a time, man, because my wife is very trusting.
Mm-hmm.
And with her, bad news doesn't scare her.
Yeah.
Me not keeping her in the loop, terrifying.
Absolutely.
So as I'm trying to hide the mail as the colors of the paper is changing.
Right.
It's from yellow, yellow to hot pink, the hot pink to burnt sienna.
About to make me lose my components.
To burnt sienna.
Yeah, them good heads up.
Yeah,
letters.
man. Like, hey, we just want to let you know we come and get the house.
That's right. Hey,
we
stay
finna
tuned.
come get the. I didn't start the time again. About 10 minutes in. It's all good.
That's how I do that.
Yeah, we finna come get the house, and I never felt embarrassed is probably the right word for it.
Yeah.
And I don't even think I told her all of what it was then. We didn't lose the house, which is a bright spot in the story.
Right.
But we were just in such a financial ruin, and I didn't like to ask for help. So my parents were willing to help. You know, they didn't have unlimited resources, but they just parents. You know, they would give their all for it, and that's what sent me in the part of the related part of the story is me going to Iraq. Right, that's why I went to Iraq, because at that time it was an opportunity to really like double, but 3x, because I wasn't really making a ton of money and get caught up. But I just remember remember feeling like hopeless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to the point where I wanted to do something to myself, but just like I don't have an answer.
Right.
Not one.
Right.
like that's not a part of my life right now that I know how to solve.
Right. Right.
And that spilled over into how I parented. I was always irritated, irritable. I just wasn't a fun person to be. I don't know how they tolerated it.
Right.
And there's
Out
no
of love.
yeah. And there's no stories of abuse or anything like that. But I get extremely frustrated when I can't figure something out that I think I should be able to figure out.
Right.
And just kind of looking back at that time in my life, what the support system I have now and my willingness to accept it, what that would have done for me back then would have been probably would have changed the course, at least for a phase of our marriage, of my parenting journey.
It certainly would have. But the flip side, the negative of that is, think of all of the things that happened after that you would have missed. And I say that I'm very in tune with that thought process because I do it a lot with my wife. We'll joke about she's on her second marriage, I'm on my second marriage, and she's like, "Oh, what if we would have caught this the first time around, or if I would have done this, or I would have pursued this, it would have led to this." And I'm like, I always follow it with, "I wouldn't have found you, you wouldn't have found me,"
Right.
etc. She's like, "Oh yes, we would have. The universe would have found us in another lane." Can't guarantee that. Nope. So the same thing about those scenarios. I have quite a few about the pop moments.
Let's talk about it.
So one of them, like you say, in that same era, interesting enough, that 08 to 010 stuff starts spiraling. So just didn't know what tomorrow looked like. And I kind of spoke on that a little bit the last episode that we discussed about, when we talked about friends that just pop out the blue, call you and don't know why, or could mush you in your face and keep it honest and real with you. Same thing, man. I kind of was going through some things, isolated, off to myself, didn't want to talk, didn't want to be bothered with anybody. A couple of my brothers to this day called till they got me on the line. Like, what we doing? What we got? What's going on? And just hopeless, but not hopeless to a point of, like you say, doing myself harm or giving up on life or nothing like that. But just a matter of, I don't know what it looked like, to the point of, are you about to do something harsh and drastic for the sake of pulling yourself out of this hole, that don't line up with your morals, your character? Or are you going to say, hey, no, it's another way to do this? Well, they kept me on that path of, this who you are, man. Be true to yourself. This what we doing, what it look like, what does that take in order for you to do that? And lo and behold, man, we knocked it out. And it turned around. But just being so anxious about it, taking it home and frustrated, angry, don't want to talk because you're trying not to pop on the family. You're trying not to take it out on the family. It's hard though, but it's necessary. You have to be aware that you're in that mode, because if you go home with that, man, that poor kids and wife, man, what are they going to do? They're steadily trying to fix it. They're trying to fix something that they did not create. So that's a double sword. That's unfair. That's unfortunate. But what do? I can't go sit in my room until dad calms down and I don't even know what's wrong with him. Yeah. They're nurturers. They love. So they want to meet you where you are. Like, what's wrong, Dad? Let me fix it. Which make you feel even worse if you realize what you're doing. Especially knowing that they're watching and they're mimicking more of your behavior than your instruction. Yes. Like I see evidence of that. Not as much in my son today. My oldest son. My youngest son didn't see that. He didn't see that this phase of my life. But like sometimes, maybe not today, but years ago, so I ain't gonna put him out there. Yeah. Like I would see him
how he would act out his frustration.
Right.
And it was very, like, I could see it on his face. Like you kind of recognize the like posture, tone, mannerisms, and that brought back the memories of when I was like, when I hit those moments too. And it felt like I kind of failed him to a degree, because me not knowing how to process those emotions and effectively acting out in an immature manner in front of them, like that's what they had to go on.
Right.
And for me, sometimes seeing those parts of me reenacted with my children made me, it's like embarrassment.
Man.
Right.
Right.
And I didn't know how to talk about it.
Right. Right.
And I didn't know if he felt like I felt like when I was in those moments, I didn't necessarily want somebody to talk to me.
Right.
So if I see him in those moments, I didn't
want to violate.
I didn't want. Yeah, exactly. But with two different people, as we talked on some of the other episodes, who I was is not who they are. So you got to parent them differently and treat them different.
Mm-hmm.
But those are some, like, I was a little bit more apprehensive about approaching certain things based on the characteristics that I knew he got from me.
Right.
That being a major one of them.
Right. Being mad or angry.
Being mad and
at
angry.
your mini me.
Yeah.
For being me. You understand? Do you know how frustrating that is?
Yeah, you be doing that every episode. Be walking something that really point out who I was. Like, oh, you have to say it like that.
But it's hard because we all deal with that. You know how many times I hear people talk about, oh man, that mirror.
Yeah.
When I see my child, how do you get mad? Let's say, for instance, you were the type of kid in school that you could never stop talking. I tell people all the time, thank God for the year that grade for conduct went away.
Right.
I finally was an A student.
That it didn't matter no more.
So now when you're looking at your kid and they're a social butterfly in class, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Threaten them to death and take everything. But then it's exactly what you had going on. Got to find another way.
Yeah. So part of one revelation that I had over the last few days, again, thinking about this topic, thinking about like going through some of the commentary of episodes past, started thinking about why we don't have these conversations, right? We're having these conversations because they weren't had or weren't had at the right time. And that's the whole premise of this podcast is we go down these paths of topics, sometimes reminiscent, sometimes in different emotional states, but we want it out there so that people had it at a time where we didn't necessarily have it. And it doesn't necessarily matter why you didn't get it at that time, if you needed it and didn't get it.
Right.
But I started thinking about like why we don't have these conversations, father to son, right, throughout the generations. And I realized that there's like three basic categories as to why it happens.
What you got?
Absent.
Oof. That's the biggest.
Apprehensive. Apathetic. Right. Absent, the father is not in a position. Sometimes the father doesn't know that the child exists because that happens.
True.
Sometimes the mother won't allow the father to see the child because that happens.
True again.
Even worse, maybe the father's, confined and can't get to the child, or the father's not on the face of this earth any longer, can't be a part of it. Right.
Right.
Absent.
Working. Gone.
Yeah.
There but not there.
There but not there.
Another topic.
Then more of mine is apprehensive. Like you're in the house, you have access, but for some reason, not really sure how to approach these things, when to approach it, what to say.
Right.
And that typically creates time before the conversation happens. Hopefully it happens at some time, but maybe you missed the mark because you were kind of double dutching your way into the conversation.
That's a good one.
You know what I'm saying? Trying to figure it out. And then just apathetic, man. There's fathers that don't care. So I can't take the women to task, on category one.
Right.
And not talk about fathers that just don't that just don't care. And I think that's deep rooted, maybe because of what they saw, nobody cared for them. Initial thoughts, man. What do you think? Because I that was really weighing heavy on me. Like as we're walking down this path of trying to contribute to the fix,
Right.
like how do we organize and address these conversations to make sure that we're hitting on the right.
I put it on cycles, and what I mean by that is there were different eras of manhood that were perceived, particularly in the Black community, right? Our parenting started out as necessity at one point because we just didn't have the resources. We didn't have the time and the allotment, if you will, in order to go be loving, caring, interactive parents. Wasn't there. They worked all day, slaved all day, plowed fields, whatever that was, that manual labor. And all that father had time to do when he got released from whatever that obligation was, bathe, eat, sleep.
Right.
Am I providing for you? Yes, I did my job. There's a whole generation of those fathers. So then after that, that created the next cycle of fathers, of those children who were recipients of that type of love from their father, being not so, I don't know how to love you, and I don't have the words to say I don't know how to love you.
Right.
So now they became, men don't have to be here, but they're using it for a different reason. The first generation that I'm speaking of, they were gone because they were out working and providing. The second generation, all they know is it's acceptable for the father to be absent or gone, but they're using it to go and be for personal gain. Gotcha. They're partying, or they're in the streets, or they're incarcerated now because of bad decisions made. So that's the second cycle. So now the third cycle is I've seen and heard of the first generation of fathers. Now I saw and witnessed and experienced that second generation of fathers directly, because I'm watching my mom struggle with everything she has going on because my dad is not here, and I don't want to recreate that. So now it's time for this whole generation that we're working on breaking that cycle.
Yeah.
I'm meeting more and more men of our generation that's actively pursuing, I want to be around kids, my kids, your kids, nieces, nephews. If there's a child walking around and they don't have a father, I want to say something.
Yeah.
I want to do something. So now I'm hoping that next generation behind us, they're catching that and they're going to change or break the cycle. But the fear of where is that reset? Does that continue? Do we instill enough in that next generation that they instill it and continue to instill it? Because now we're doing so much. We have more resources. We're not so hands-on in the employment or being gainfully employed now, even shifting to the AI realm. We're about to have a lot of free time on our hands. So now you're going to have even more time to be interactive with the children. So what do you do with that time? Do you learn how to use that time to say, come sit right here, son, and let's just talk? It's going to sound stupid at first, but we're going to build up to it. We're going to work on it. We're going to get there. Got this time. What are we going to do with it? Or are you going to be complacent and say, I don't know what to do with it, so I'm going to keep sitting and thinking and thinking and thinking? How? Now the kid, 18, 19 years old, graduated high school.
Missed opportunity.
A missed opportunity.
So what you said about AI caught my attention because there is a group, a population, a portion of the population that AI is going to affect negatively.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
And when these cycles, because AI is our generation, technology has always advanced to be more productive than people. So every generation has seen some version of technology eroding the job force or significantly changing the job force.
Absolutely.
And when people that don't have another skill to compete with AI are now finding themselves in this place where they can't provide for their family, we're back to we're back to this, am I about to pop?
Kind
of situation. Because I've been laid off before.
Right.
Not necessarily due to AI, but not having a job is not having a job.
Correct.
Right. So compare and contrast. The first time I saw it, I was 20, maybe 22 or 23, right? I didn't have many responsibilities. So I was furloughed. They pretty much sent me home for about 12 weeks, and then I came back to work. Then when I left with that example that I was just talking about, becoming an entrepreneur, I had 3 children.
Right.
So that weight, that pressure got more dire. I got more desperate when I wasn't able to provide. Not being able to provide for me is one thing. Not being able to provide for a family,
Different now.
right? With 3 children. Now here I am with 5 children, and I am in a place where I have to figure it out.
Right.
Again, you know what I'm saying? And it's, thankfully, my skill set has developed on pace over time that I have the ability to still earn. But just thinking about people that are in that situation, pandemic, a lot of businesses closed down.
Yes, they did.
It's a lot of different stresses that we weren't, as a lot of people in society weren't prepared to deal with.
Right.
So, again, as the fathers, as the leaders of the house, when those situations hit, that's when that balloon, that's when that latex get real thin, that balloon about to go.
Right.
And it's, I want to make sure that we're giving perspective that encourages fathers that may be, any parent or person that's in that situation, of kind of not how to deal with it from a, like, we're not professionals. We're not therapists. We're not counselors.
No.
But just based on those experiences when we've been up close and saw that as our immediate future.
Right.
Like, do you pop or do you keep pushing? Can you think of any defining moments where you had to make that decision? Like, I can't, is not an option. It's not an option to give up.
Absolutely. Like you said, the biggest thing that pointed it out is becoming a parent. And when you become a parent of multiples, that changes everything. Like the example you gave, if you've been furloughed or layoffs, I've been fired from
Get up out of here. Get up out of here.
I've been absolutely fired from companies in my early years, obviously. I'm thankful for it now. I had some great opportunities, great jobs, companies, employers, etc. But I messed it off by living for the weekend. I was always living for the weekend as a youngster. Monday through Friday, really, on Fridays, I show up with attitude like, I didn't come here to work today.
I can't even get off.
Don't ask me. So now those mistakes led to consequences.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing I learned looking back was stop waiting for it to start raining and start shopping for an umbrella. Stop waiting. You see the writing on the wall. You know you're going to lose a job before you lose a job.
Yeah.
Before they fire you, the writing was already on the wall. Your supervisor breathing heavy when you walk in the room, et cetera, et cetera. So if you already know you have a wife, you have a mortgage, you have rent, you have children, if you know that you have this going on, let's say you hate your job. Mm-hmm. It really puts you in a bad place every day. Don't wait until these people close the door to start looking for your next move to set your family up. Work on that right now. And this is little stuff I wish somebody would have told me.
I wish, I can't even say, I wish not necessarily that somebody told me, I wish somebody held me accountable for it. Because I wasn't necessarily the most immature 21-year-old.
Right.
Like I was out, I had bills, I had job, I had those responsibilities, but I wasn't courageous enough to challenge myself to push through it.
Right.
Right. It was, I picked the easier thing.
Oh yeah.
Which was to go wild out and kind of try to self-medicate, sulk, and hope people feel sorry for me or hang around people that felt sorry for themselves too. It's another thing. Mind your circle.
Please.
Mind your circle in all phases of life, but especially when you are at a breaking point, it doesn't behoove you to be around broken people.
No, because they're going to encourage the brokenness.
Yeah, none of you can fix the other. So it's not about leaving anybody behind.
In the circle.
It's not about leaving somebody behind and giving up on somebody. It's you everybody needs to go get them right.
Right.
And maybe you take the first step that inspires somebody else to do the same, but definitely mind your circle. That's what being opposed. One of the worst things you could do is surround yourself with people who are less accountable than you are. And that's a lesson that I learned. I learned it.
Yeah.
I learned it.
I needed that.
Yeah.
And there are, and this isn't even a age group specific issue. There are people growner than me, if you will, that still need that lesson. And you have to look around. If you look around, and let's say, for instance, you've already discovered within yourself, I'm nowhere near where I need to be.
Right.
But let's say you look around and you're the biggest fish in the pond you're in right now.
That small pond.
That's a horrible place to be. Because who or what's going to push you to go and say, hey, I know this is going to be uncomfortable, but this is what it looks like. You can't even begin to have that conversation with me because you're complacent with where you are. If I'm saying, man, I'm thinking about making this move, but it's scary. Man, don't do that. You're finna risk everything. I don't want that person around me.
Yeah.
Don't do it. No, we need to say, well, look, let's sit down and look at it.
Yeah.
What does that look like? If you have to put something on hold for 6 months to a year, make some more sacrifices, what does it look like for us to be on the other side of that thing?
Yeah, that 6 months looking forward is always much longer than looking back. That 6 months looking forward feels like 6 years until you go through it.
Till you go through it.
But yeah, keep yourself in an accountable environment. I would also suggest don't run from your thoughts, man.
No.
They're gonna be there whenever you have the courage to process them. And the longer you put them off, the more energy, the more steam they get, the more control or the more power they have to dictate your day to day.
Right.
Complete transparency. Like I didn't grow up. Like my parents never drank.
Right.
Never drank, never smoked. I mean, that wasn't them. A lot of it was religion based, but I never had that as an example. But I found myself running to that, trying to get away from my thoughts sometimes.
Right.
And because that was a thing to do, and you're hanging with people that are kind of in that same space, and it's not necessarily that they're negative people, but we prioritize different things at different phases of our life, right? And just staying in those environments, it became a crutch. I wish that I was, again, had more of a challenging environment to call me on, why are you doing this? Right?
Yeah.
Like what is this masking?
Right. Is this something?
Yeah. And for the people in that environment with you, it may or may not be masking something for them.
No.
They may be celebrating. It all looks the same.
Right.
At the bar, it all looks the same.
It all look the same.
So you gotta be careful not to fool yourself by putting yourself in spaces, and again, it's the accountability thing, putting yourself in environments that where you can't tell
right
what's really going on.
Right.
Where you just you're a little mixing in with everything, and that kind of makes you feel, it doesn't necessarily make you feel better, but
it feels natural because there's nothing there to make it feel uncomfortable or I shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
So if you look around and let's say, for instance, everybody's reading a book in a room and you walk in with your radio or your phone playing music out loud.
Your cassette.
Right. Now you feel ridiculous. So what you're going to do, you're going to tone that down. Like, I'm sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
But if you walk in that same room and everybody got their music playing on their phones, music playing on your phone, you fit and blend right in. Yeah. So you have to be mindful of what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's good. Because the whole thought thing about not letting your thoughts run away, This happened a lot when we talking, man. The
Every
universe
time.
be moving, man.
Every time.
Me and wifey, we was talking yesterday, we were talking about meditation. She's, and not to go too deep into what she has going on here and there in her life, but she'll struggle sometimes, and that's the word she's used, with her thoughts, you know, as meaning she's a thinker.
Yeah.
So when it's time to sit down and wind down, her mind is still going and going and going and going, thinking of something, focused on something. So when we were talking about it recently, she's discovered that it's best that you do not try to turn your thoughts off. You just guide them. You direct them.
Mm-hmm.
Let it happen. It's natural. The mind is supposed to think. So when you start trying to tell the mind that's supposed to think to not think, you're in conflict within yourself. So let that mind, let it think, let it wonder, but guide it.
Yeah.
So once you guide it and eventually end up in a nice blue space of sky, it was able to do what it wanted to do with your guidance and control. And then you end up at a happy medium at the end. So
I think sometimes we fear that I think we fear the process because you don't know where that thought process is going to end, or that pattern is going to end, or that trail is going to take you, and how it's going to require you to adjust.
Right.
Sometimes you just want to
cut it off.
Cut it off, or get away from it, or try to mask it with other activities, or other things in general.
Right.
And now that you said that, I'm that way when I feel like I'm not in control of something. Right. And I don't know how many men struggle with it. I can tell you 50% of the men on this podcast, at least, at least 50%.
You can go ahead and bump that to 100, because listen,
50 to 100% of the men on this particular episode deal with that. And it feels like, to me, it feels like a sign of weakness. When I can't, I don't know how else to say it, but like you're just so uncertain.
Right.
That you're almost paralyzed with, like, how do I even corral my thoughts?
Right.
Like, how do I even organize the time to think this through? Right. And for me, it creates more frustration that shows up in other parts of my life. But that's I think that's sound advice. I'm getting better with that. I'm definitely a thinker. Now I don't have the issue. My wife does. My wife will come to bed and she'll just be sitting up. Right. Like sitting up, or she'll have to do something to occupy her time until she passes out.
Right. Like probably watch TV while you're trying to sleep or something. Not you personally. That's not a shot at anybody. But I can relate. 50% of the people on this podcast.
you have to hold that 50. Because mine ain't the TV. Mine could be a phone.
Yeah.
Could be a phone or a tablet.
Yeah.
But it no longer, I know I'm mature because it no longer keeps me awake like indefinitely.
Right.
Like I've gotten to a place where I can be concerned about something, pray about it, and actually allow the process of prayer in that relationship to figure it out.
Yes.
Right. And it's it doesn't mean I have to know before I go to sleep.
Right.
I know that he's working on it.
Yep.
Or maybe the answer is I need to adjust my frequency so I can hear him. It's like he's saying it. I got some other things clouding that path of communication.
Yep.
But even that was a challenge for me with the family because I didn't have the relationship. I had examples of my parents having faith and things working out.
Right.
But that doesn't
put your own work in.
You can't inherit that.
No.
Right? They can't will that to me.
Right.
So that was one of, like, what would you say, the stress to make the roots dig? It was one of those things that definitely has been a theme since I've had a family. I don't know of any other period of my life that I've learned as much about myself.
And that's the key. That's why I tell people I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
because the things I learn about myself, like my temper, just like you said, when things are out of my control or I'm forced to wait and be still and let stuff develop, it used to drive me nuts. Like I couldn't handle it almost. It really made me just say, the heck with it, I'm gonna go do something else. And I find something else to do to circumvent that roadblock. And it's like, nah, this was the ideal way to do it. It's just supposed to happen next Friday, not today.
Right.
It's
But,
like,
but
nope.
Thursday morning, he was like, I'm done.
If it don't happen today, I'm burning the barn. We're done. We're doing something else. So a old head man told me a long time ago is you can be what's called having atheist approach to your prayer, meaning an atheist is a non-believer. You know, you don't believe in something, right? Mm-hmm. God particularly. So what will happen is if you pray for something, you know, they tell you all the time, and I say they, meaning the religious, the preachers, the Bible, if you pray, believe it, let it go, be done with it. If you pray for it on Monday, you turn around and pray for it again on Wednesday and again on Friday, then every time you pray for that same thing again and again, you're basically admitting to yourself you didn't believe what you just prayed 2 days prior.
Maybe this time will work.
Right. So I don't believe it. So therefore, you have an atheistic approach to your prayer. Because now, if I keep asking, what do you do to your kid when they come and say, hey, can I have this? I said you could. I just said, wait a minute. You ask me again, though, you're not getting it. So it's the same thing. So I had to go through being told no to understand that everything not for me. And if it is, it's not when I want it. That was the hardest am I about to pop lesson I've had in my life.
Yeah, man. I'm glad you said the about to pop lesson you've had in your life, because that was the next shift that I wanted to make is, what have we learned from those moments that, you know, when we're about to pop? Like, what has been the benefit of being just about to pop? And for me, like, those situations have prepared me for have prepared me for other scenarios in life that I couldn't have. Like, you couldn't write the script.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And because I've been down in that valley and had to go through those tough moments where I didn't know how it was going to work. Now I'm prepared to guide my family when something doesn't seem like it's going to work, right? And even going through stuff that I don't know how it's going to work, not being so apprehensive about them seeing it.
Yeah.
What would you say has been your biggest takeaway about the pop moments?
Man, just the patience and the fortitude, man. When I've seen people, when something does not work out in their favor, they lose it. They have a meltdown. They can't function. They can't think. They can't speak. I don't have that issue. Almost too good at it. You know, there's a such thing as being too good at something. I pivot so quickly that sometimes it's too fast.
Yeah.
You know, so I learned to try to distinguish between when a pivot is needed and when patience is needed. Because if something bad happens and it doesn't work out, I don't have time to panic. Panic not going to feed my kids.
At all.
Panic not going to get me up the street. So I immediately go into the next mode. And it's like, whoa. Slow down. Hold on. They didn't say no. They just said, let them look over X, Y, Z, and they'll get back to you tomorrow. To me, that's no.
Yeah.
Or that's not in a timely manner. Well, that's not the issue anymore. Just hold on. Let it keep working. Don't kill it. Get your backups ready, but put them on standby. I learned not to act on my backups immediately. Just put them in line. So once I line my backups up, so it may take you 2 days to give me this response on this. Whereas I'm not going to just throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
Well, if you don't have a reply right now, don't even talk to me anymore. Well, that's irrational. So hold that thought. Call me when you're ready. But meanwhile, you don't have to know I'm over here getting some other stuff lined up, though.
Yeah.
Get the other things lined up, put them on standby. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hey, y'all got something for me today? And if it worked out, you go to the backups. Perhaps it can go along with what you had going on. That's a benefit. You can do both of these and you just didn't even know.
Yeah.
You thought this was a backup when actually it's a supplement. Or that didn't work out. I didn't wait to find out this didn't work out to go get this pumping. It's already on deck. That was the biggest takeaway I had.
I think a final thought for me is coming to grips with the fact that giving up is an option. And talked about cliches in a few episodes back, in another episode.
Right.
Where we pump these affirmations. I'm not against affirmations.
No.
But I'm against affirmations that are absent reality. Right? And if you've been taught that giving up is not an option, and you only find out that it is when you give up,
right,
you are in a terrible place.
Right.
And I say that because the takeaway for me is the world keeps spinning.
Oh.
The world doesn't pause on my pity.
No.
Not at all.
Right.
So I've learned to take that moment if I need to sulk for a second.
Right.
Okay. And I'm not saying that that's how everybody should do it, but
right.
If I need to take that pause to be in my feelings for a little bit, I can't stay there.
No.
Right? Because life is going to keep going. And especially all of these conversations through the lens of fatherhood, like you're duplicating that per child over.
Yes.
Right. And furthermore, you're either starting a cycle or perpetuating a cycle that you've seen before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't fear the back against the wall moments anymore. I just know how to process them a little different.
Absolutely.
Right? And I make the conscious choice not to give up, even if I don't have it figured out. Take that step. First often for me is being prayer, like to get clarity on, like, help me to actually see what this really is. Because sometimes we see things through a lens. And when you were talking about if it ain't ready today, I don't want it.
Right.
Boy, that wasn't me 2 weeks ago.
Bro.
I was still trying to figure it out. I called you. I talked to somebody.
Right.
They said they was going to have it. Like, if I was just a little bit patient, I would have realized I got refunded and got a discount. Just some more.
Above and beyond.
Above and beyond. So, trying to reel all of this in, man. It's, don't be afraid of those about to pop moments.
Right.
Be aware of the signs, the flags, whatever you want to call it, as you're approaching that place, because there's very often, some mile markers that suggest that you made a wrong turn somewhere, or you heading down a construction up ahead.
Right. I promise you.
Construction up ahead. Slow down.
Yeah.
These 5 lanes go to 1, and your speed is going to be detrimental, or be what saves you as you approach, those areas in your life, man.
Right. Be intentional. Just which sounds so cliche about pay attention, but pay attention. There's a lot in your life. It could be your children acting a little different with you,
mm-hmm.
your wife acting a little different. There are key point indicators in your life,
absolutely,
that are telling you something wrong.
Yeah,
thing not right.
Stop running for those things, man. Keep yourself in accountable circles that won't allow you to run from those things either, man.
Yeah.
But another one of those conversations that always does more for me in real time than I'll ever know what it does for an audience, man. So I appreciate this sounding board. I appreciate the like you're really helping me course correct,
man,
through these conversations, man. So no pressure.
No
pressure whatsoever. But
I tell people all the time, I'm talking to you, but I'm talking to me too.
Yeah.
I'll hear something come out of my mouth. Not that it's just I'm pulling thoughts out of the air, but sometimes that's for yourself.
Yeah.
And you'll be surprised how many times people say that. It's true.
Yeah.
It's real.
Yeah.
It's not just for you. Believe me. That's why I can't wait for every episode. I'm like, man, this is about to change something in my life.
It's about to change my life on today.
On today.
Yeah. That's the point, man. So to our listening audience, we definitely appreciate the support. Again, please like, subscribe, share. If you don't believe that it helps, please just entertain us.
Yeah.
just entertain it for our sake.
Yeah.
And say I told you so 3 years from now, if that is the case. But it really does help get the content placed in front of the people that need it the most. So again, Studio H. Studio H, I could take that out, but that would be my ice maker. And a good place to wrap this one up. Again, shout out to various countries in Africa, Malawi, Ghana, Tanzania or Tanzania, however you fancy it. However you fancy it. Who else? Uganda was showing love. South Africa every now and again. We appreciate that. We're gonna keep going.
Keep going.
Every episode brings me more clarity on what this thing will be, and I hope that the listening and the watching audience is seeing that benefit as well. That is going to do it for this episode. We appreciate you guys. God bless you. Peace.
They tried to count me out. I'ma gon' count me in. Fill up my bank account. Now I got something to spend. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I just pull it out and count for nothing when I'm feeling great. Give my baby little more just to spend it, and I'm